G'day and welcome to Wine Week. I'm Danny.
And I'm Brad.
And we're both wearing matching polo tops today. Why is that?
Well, tonight the Mighty Bombers kick off their 2010 Premiership campaign against the reigning premiers, and we thought we'd come along in our gear.
Yeah, we're both absolute Essendon tragics. Love the club dearly and will be there this evening, screaming, ranting and raving from the MCG, the greatest stadium on earth for watching footy. But let's talk some wine rather than just talking football. And I'm going to kick off with the Clonakilla Riesling. Now, 2 weekends ago, we had a bit of a Riesling Pinot taste. A few of you came along. This one stood out as one of the great Rieslings, but it's a little bit different from some of the others. It was really easy to kind of see lemon, lime, green apple, and things kind of switching between there in some of the Rieslings. It's, Clare Valley versus Great Southern. Really easy to see the difference. This, from the Canberra region, we know Clonakilla from probably best known from their Shiraz Viognier that is just absolutely gorgeous. But this beautiful and a little bit different, not quite as acidic, sits more in kind of that sherbet sort of flavours, which is gorgeous and lined up against a few that were quite nicely tight and acidic. This one really sang. Not too sweet at all, not pushing into that style, just gorgeous. So if you've got a chance, look out for the Clonakilla, a great Riesling.
Yeah, that sort of zingy, zippy finish on this one was really noticeable and it really freshened the palate, so it was a lovely drink.
Yeah.
Alright, now I'm going to move on to a rather big and robust wine. This is not for the faint of heart, and this is the Cape Mentelle Zinfandel. Now, there aren't too many producers doing the varietal Zinfandels around the country. Cape Mentelle really were one of the pioneers of the grape variety. They've been making this wine for a number of years, and it really has built up a bit of a cult following. You hear a lot about some Zinfandels coming out of California. They're probably a little bit more well known for producing this style. But Cape Mentelle, they take this grape variety that is a rich, robust, spicy sort of grape variety, managed to get the grapes nice and ripe there, just at the right level in Margaret River, and they produce this fantastic, intense wine, but it's not too over the top. It won't completely blow you away. Now, having said that, it's not light on the alcohol. This is the 2007 vintage, 15%. So it's not one you want to have a whole bottle yourself, I wouldn't think. But Cape Mentelle, the Zinfandel, it's really interesting because it is a rich, robust grape variety, but something a little bit different from your Shiraz style wine. So have a look.
Yeah, definitely one of the absolute best Zinfandels in Australia. Absolute no doubt there. Last wine we're going to have a look at. This is a relatively small producer from up in Rutherglen, Scion, and this is their Durif. Now, if we're talking Rutherglen, we're probably talking of one of two things most of the time, and that is either we're talking about unbelievable fortifieds, their muskets and tokais, or we're talking about Durif. Now, the average Durif is an absolute monster in a bottle. It's something that most people wrestle with. This Durif pays homage to that style, but at the same time is much more approachable. This is actually a ripping wine. If you're only just starting to get into wine, this is probably a really good option because it's big, it's bold, it's right there. You know this is a wine. When you drink it, you know you're having a big glass of grapes that just massively push you around. But at the same time, it's not overdone. Some Durifs, it's like blotting paper in the mouth. There's so much tannin in some of them that you want to lay them down for 15, 20, 30 years before you go anywhere near it. This is a 2006 and is actually approachable, but there is that tannic structure there. So, as I say, you're having a big wine. And if you're a reasonably new wine drinker, maybe this is a really good way of getting in there and you'll know this is a big red wine, this is great, this is something for a barbie with mates. Hook into it. So the Scion Durif, give it a go.
Yeah, and as Dan said, don't be afraid to put it down for a few years because these Durifs from Rutherglen, they can go the distance.
They certainly can. Anyhow, that's it for this week on Wine Week. Go the Bombers.
Go the Bombers.
And we'll see you all again next week.
See you next week.